Guys, what's going on? Brooks Conkle here with Gulf Coast BizCon. Want to say hello if you're watching this from Facebook. Hello if you're watching this from YouTube. Hey there, make sure you subscribe and hit notification bell if you want to do that. Or if you're watching this from another platform, I don't know how it got there, but pretty excited about that too. So I'm the founder of BizCon, and so our mission is to engage and connect you guys, entrepreneurs, side hustlers, small business owners. I believe that when people can connect, whether it's online, mainly in person, I think in person there's an extreme advantage to that. But when people can connect, these people, I think some really good stuff happens, some powerful things happen. So today, really excited. We've got a guest to talk about video and how video is just as important to your branding, maybe even more important as your logo, as just the general branding for your company. So we're going to talk about all of that today. I'm going to bring him on. It's Drew with CRFTSHO. Drew,
What's up?
how
What's
you
going
doing,
on?
man?
I'm
Good to
good, good,
see
good.
you.
Yeah, you too.
So before we get right into it, I'm actually gonna showcase. Look, I have to show this. I have to show a video off, and the reason why I have to show this off. So you and I had coffee about maybe a year ago or 8 months. I don't know. My time frame is really bad. My time
I'm
reference, but
I'm with you. I'm totally
yeah.
with
Well, we had coffee. I really enjoyed it, and I knew that you had created this commercial for in Mobile, Alabama. There's this place called the Explorium. And I'm gonna call it a commercial, promo video. I don't know the proper name. Can you give me because you know what I'm about to show?
you. Yeah,
Can I?
yeah. So it was two things. One, it was a brand anthem type piece.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, so it's basically a commercial, and then it has a call to action to come visit this exhibit.
Yep.
So it is both a commercial. It ran on broadcast, but it also was used as part of a digital marketing campaign for the Explorium itself.
Which is
So
part
both
of
of it.
it's a part of what I call the merge. It's all the same anyway, right? Commercial, people think
Yeah,
TV,
yeah.
whatever. It's a branding piece, right? So, all right, I want to just show this video to the audience, to the folks that are going to be watching. Dude, so that's insane.
Oh yeah. Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome. And so, look, man, when I first saw that, and actually it's not just the first time, so it's happened pretty much now every time. So when I see that, it gives me chills, man. And granted, people that watch this that are not from Mobile, Alabama, may be like, okay, that was cool, it was legit, it was cool. But if you're from Mobile and you know the scenescape, you know the cityscape, what's in that shot, it's insane because you're like, holy smokes, Genghis Khan is deadgum riding his horse
Yeah,
on
right down Dolphin,
right
which is
down right down Dolphin Street, and
which is
this
like
is
Bourbon.
terrifying.
Yeah, yeah, it's like a Bourbon Street. If people don't know that, that's how I equate it. It's like a
There you
it's like
go.
a lower, a less aggressive Bourbon Street.
And you set the tone at the very beginning. So look, man, I'm no video expert, but like you know good video when you see it, right? And so, or at least I say that I do. I saw that you set the tone from the very beginning. Blue
For
sky,
sure.
happy day, and then you freaked it out, and then dark skies, something bad's about to happen, right? Like you did that in a matter of well, like 3 seconds or something. I knew right away that okay, something's about to go down, and you
Right.
proved that in that video. So. That's what I want to talk about with you, man. I know obviously you're a mad scientist in video and in branding, and you know what you're doing. So I thought it'd be a great time to talk with the world of entrepreneurs, small business owners, side hustlers, and discuss that. You made the claim, man. I mean, you made the claim, which I thought was huge. I was like, oh my gosh. You're like, man, video is just as important, maybe more than your logo, than your branding. So,
100%. Yeah, I'm really passionate about that because it's weird. I get a lot of conversation. Look, I outreach like everybody else. I hustle to get work. I'm in that same space.
yep.
My passion's for small businesses because I am one too, and I understand sort of it sounds like a sales pitch, but it's not. Like I truly get the frustration stuff. So when I talk to small business owners, I end up getting like the same. It's not the same, but I have this conversation a lot, and I get it. They focus so much on their brand and what they think is their brand, and that focus is inevitably their logo, their stationery, sometimes their website, but not even the content, just the fact that they have one. And one of the things about that is the biggest eye-opening statement is like, if you think your logo is your brand, we got a bigger conversation needs to be had. You don't need video. You don't need anything. Let's start from square one. Your logo is not your brand. It's a part of your brand, but it's not your brand.
Gotcha.
And so, that's a big statement that shocks people awake, but it's the truth. It's truly not. So
that's a good point. I guess a logo can't really become your brand until you kind of earn that in the world, which is, I would say, is like billion-dollar companies,
Oh yeah. I mean,
so
think about it. If like Kleenex, right? In the South, we don't say, I mean, at least growing
Yeah,
up here, we don't say
that's
tissue.
right.
People say Kleenex.
That's right.
Or do you want a Coke? Well, Coke could be Dr. Pepper, Sprite, Pepsi. It's just the fact that we don't say soda down here. We say Coke. Those are brand names.
Yeah, that's right.
That's when you're at that point. When someone refers to con as BizCon one day, or knowing that secretly means BizCon, then you've done it. Right now, if someone says con, most people think of Comic-Con, right?
Yeah, sure, exactly.
We're gonna get to be BizCon.
Yeah, man, that's it. And hey, clearly using the phrase BizCon is not completely original. And in my opinion, there's a reason for that. I mean, yeah, it's cool, it's funky, but it's relatable. I think like a lot of people use whatever con, and yeah, I say whatever con, like Comic Con, whatever. Yeah,
it's the Seinfeld of cons.
The Seinfeld of cons, man. I mean, I kind of did that for recognition, right? That, okay, if you see BizCon, you may at least have some idea that maybe it's some kind of, brand related to, business or conferences or fun or funky.
It does the number one thing, though. BizCon, to me, is one of those names where it suddenly introduces a story, right? Comic-Con doesn't really tell me a story anymore. BizCon at least tells me a story. Comic-Con is because it's so saturated. Right now, BizCon's not super saturated, so it at least leads me in to think that there's some story element there, which is the thing that I think is the most important, is the story. Whatever your brand story is, that is more important than your logo. And often it's easiest to tell a brand story with motion pictures, motion media, because that's what our world is used to now, is audio and video married together to make something epic. Right.
Good point. So is that the reason why you would say video is, the most integral part of your brand, is because how compelling it is? Is that kind of your thinking behind that, or?
Yeah, for sure. And I've got like, let's see, I'll throw some stat type stuff. I've got deck if you want to see them. If not, I can throw them at you. But so like the average user spends 88% more time on a website with video, and that's from Forbes 2018. So those numbers are skewed. So because there's video, a viewer is going to sit there, and here we are in a world right now where online sales are, I'm sure, peaking, or not maybe necessarily peaking, but the opportunity for online sales is at a peak.
Yeah.
Viewers remember more likely, 95% of viewers are more likely to remember a call to action from an email response if there's a video attached, as opposed to just a straight up email. There's something about engagement that we like more than just observing it. Another one's like 72% would rather learn about, and this is a big one, 72% of people would rather learn about a video product or service from video rather than just reading text. And that's the truth. We've gotten lazy, or we've got a lot of things to do, but video helps convey that. That's just basic stats. So.
That's good, man. So that last one, I totally relate to that. And it makes me wonder, it makes me ask the question, so are we lazy, or are we getting lazier? Or have we always been wired that way, and we're just now being able to be able to produce in that manner. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
were we like that 300 years ago before there was a computer?
Well, we were telling stories. I mean, you go back
Great
and
point.
look at, the visual storytelling medium. A story is what I'm going back to. A video is just, doesn't matter what it is, a montage, a pure art film, whatever it might be. Is there's a story. I think we are wired as human beings. From the day that we are born, we are conditioned in this world to follow a story, whether it's our life story, whether it's a biblical story, whether it's a narrative or a movie or whatever. We are conditioned to follow stories, and we look for stories. So when we look for a brand that has a story or is telling us a story or in a moment is engaging us in a story, we're already we predisposed to that. Like, we want to be part of that story. We want to be in that space. And I think that's the big key, is engaging people into engaging a brand, or having a brand engage people into a story is kind of the key, which
That's
we
good,
do
man.
naturally. Yeah.
Yeah. So, okay. So you're saying, yep, it's always been there,
I think it's been there from
and
day one. Yeah.
yeah. Okay. No, that's huge. So can anyone, like, practically, let's say, so some of the work, you know, you have a mix, like your company has a mix of stuff. Like, you are a creator yourself, as well as working with, some small businesses, but as well as working with large brands. I mean, you've worked on film, movie. I mean, you've done a wide range of stuff, right?
Right.
And that may be out of it may and actually, I don't know, is it out of necessity, is it out of because it's what you enjoy, like you want to just like learn and create and work with different brands? I mean, is that advantageous to you as a brand to be able to have all that under your umbrella? I mean, I would say it might be to have in your toolbox all those things. I mean, what's kind of some of your thoughts to that?
Yeah. So integrating with the more brands that we have an opportunity to work with, the more projects we do, all of those build upon, it builds a foundation in which we can go back to quickly and pull an idea. So Genghis Khan, let's use that as an example.
Okay.
We knew that we needed to create something hyper local, right? So any local business that we've ever done, and we have national brands, we've done stuff with Office Depot, Office Max, HP
Cool.
is up on deck if it ever comes back. Panasonic's a regular client of ours. So we've done some higher end clients, but then tying in with hyper local clients, whether they're small businesses or not, we knew that we needed to make this have a hyper local feel, which meant geographic base. So as you even said, like, to you being a Mobilian, you see all these Mobile spots and you connect to them. Well, we
Yep.
need you to, because we'll probably draw some people in from out of town, but the
Mm-hmm.
majority of what they're banking on is local. So that's one tool set. Working with hyperlocal has benefited us in creating that element. We also knew that from our film experience that flying a drone and getting these certain proportions of shots visually, and telling that level of super high quality cinematic story is going to make a difference. So we
Yep.
got the road cleared. We had a police officer. We blocked traffic, and we had, Genghis Khan riding down an empty street in the middle of Bourbon Street type vibe. We also
Exactly.
knew that even the lenses we chose, so the lenses we shot that on were very old vintage anamorphic lenses.
Mm.
Anamorphic are a lot harder to shoot than regular. We found a really good deal, and we negotiated for that, and we told them it was for a museum, and people helped us out. But to shoot in those lenses meant we had to approach how we were going to photograph everything. So the torch was there not just because it was cool. We needed light to light that individual more than normal.
Okay.
So there's a lot of components that go into it where we're thinking about, and that anamorphic lens gave us the effect of it feeling sort of cinematic, but also a little bit soft and a little bit magical and it didn't look like a local TV spot. We wanted it to feel like a movie trailer. All of those components came from various projects over the years that we've done things. And we just kind of, you always are pulling from that to benefit your client relationships, or more importantly, their brand story, which is all I'm really here to do, is help them tell their brand story. So
And now you have all of that experience with that one project that you can parlay into any future project that you do for any customer,
absolutely.
yourself, small business, whatever. So here I was just thinking it was a fire torch that looked cool. I didn't know it had
It's a double purpose. Yeah.
a
Because
double purpose. Yeah, well, that's
we
great.
had to figure out how to create enough lumens from that. So we did a bunch of math ahead of time and calculated the f-stop we needed from these lenses. And so we knew that the torch had to be a certain size to output enough light to give us an exposure in some of these sequences. So like we went through a lot of work a lot more
I have
work
I
than we did get paid for. I should be honest about it, but we
I
did it
have
because we loved it.
I have no idea what you're talking about, and I,
Right. It's
I
physical
think
product, right?
a lot of people watching this will probably be able to relate to that. I had to go ahead and say that and disclose. I don't know what f-stop is. I understand, I guess, exposure. Don't have a clue. But
Yeah.
what? So how can? All right. So let's relate this to the. Look, my definition of small business is probably a little bit different than the U.S. government. I guess U.S. government says you have less than 500 employees.
Yeah,
I
right.
don't.
I'm with you.
I don't have a permanent. I don't have a. My answer's kind of fluid. But when I'm saying small business, I'm usually thinking like 10 people or less. This is me where my brain's going. So let's say we're talking to that crowd. What can they do? I think people are kind of overwhelmed with video just in general. I think some people are kind of overwhelmed. Like, when do they need to hire a company like yours or like you to come in? And when do they need to just hustle up and buck up, and what do they need to do on their own, with their cell phones and
That's
with,
what I was just looking for. I was looking for my cell phone.
yeah, exactly.
I don't even know where mine is. I that's how much I care about it. But
Yeah, you just threw it across the room. I
Probably.
got one here. But so cell phone, I mean, pretty dang powerful what can be done or compelled or told on a
especially on live streaming or Facebook or whatever,
Yep.
Instagram, where people are a little more forgiving. Here's
Yep.
here's the thing that I encourage anyone to think about. So there's two parts to that. If I could unpack it, the first one is what can people do, and then when should they bring in sort of a pro level or take it up a notch. The first thing that I would do if I were anybody that has a business, if you don't already, number one thing, obviously have your social presence, like your Facebook, Twitter, whatever, but have that social presence built out and prepare to populate it with content.
Yeah.
But more importantly than maybe all of that social presence and a website, you should always have one, is having, again, let's say you have your brand story sort of identified. We're assuming you're working under that situation. Meaning everyone that works for you can say the exact same thing. You do this, and they can almost repeat it. You want it clean. You got to have a YouTube page. And the reason I say that is because YouTube is basically the number 2 search engine. Google's number 1. Who owns YouTube?
Google.
Right.
Exactly.
So they're gonna give your content such preferential treatment. So that means you got to have videos on there. It don't even have to be videos. You can actually just take audio and throw it up on YouTube if you want. But you need to have a YouTube channel and populate it with some stuff. That's where people tend to freak out. And the easiest thing that they can do is very simple. If I had my cell phone, quite literally just shooting some decent cell phone video explaining who you are and what your company story is, your brand story, what it is. Have that on there somewhere. Create that content and add to it. And then have your employees do that. If you've got 10 employees, you should have at least 10 videos, each one of them telling the world why they love working with you, what's great about your business, something. Because believe it or not, that'll pop up somewhere.
Good point.
It absolutely will show up. And that's very easy to do. And it's okay if it's cell phone footage. Be like, hey, we're new to this. Just be honest. The more honest you are, watch the magic happen. The more honest you are, the more people will respond to you in a certain way. Unless you're selling video and you're shooting with a cell phone, they're probably going to judge you a little bit. Right?
Good point. I agree. And just to jump in and kind of add something on that with you, like, I think a lot of times what happens is people are scared to put out something that's not perfect, and therefore it never goes out. While I don't want to put out junk myself, I am not scared to jump in and try and then say, wow, okay, this is what messed up. This is how to improve upon that, and keep improving and keep improving. If you don't try and you don't actually do it, you're not going to actually learn. You're just going to be textbooking the whole time, right?
Right.
And
that's absolutely right.
I just think that's, now granted, yes, there's a level, shoot the video 3 or 4 times or something until you feel good with the shot, and then put it out. But you just have to do it, I think. So, so you was the story brand, and then shooting that footage, getting your customer set up YouTube. Okay. Sorry that interrupted you there.
No, you're totally good. I was just going to say real quick, you inspired an idea. Like, I'm going to share a secret formula right here.
Okay.
You ready?
I love it.
It's straight from you. This is the most profitable formula I can share with anyone if you are wanting to be on camera or know you need to make video, is just to go do it, because the secret formula is There is no perfect.
I love it, man.
There is absolutely no perfect. It'll never
love
be
it.
perfect. I can watch Genghis Khan and tell you 15 problems I have with it, and you loved it, right?
Yep,
I look at it
100%.
completely different. You're always going to, your lens, your personal lens is always going to be different. So just remember, there is no perfect. Even the greatest filmmaker of all time, whoever that might be to you, whether it's Tarantino or Spielberg, they will have issues with things that they look at. I can promise. There's no perfect. So the next part of that was we talked about when to hire a professional. Well, the crazy part is I think you should hire a professional from day one, not pitching my own self in, but I think you should hire from day one, because unless you have a desire to do this, it's going to add stress to your life, which means it's going to take away your opportunity to focus on your business, which is what you want to do, is grow your business. So I would connect with a professional as soon as possible and start that conversation. However, you need to save up some scratch and get to yourself to that point. I would look at it when you're really ready to expand, and I wouldn't just hire. And this is truly a business secret. Again, not pushing craft share. There's a bunch of great content providers out there in the country.
Sure.
I would not hire a videographer, a person that just shoots video. I would not hire just an editor. I wouldn't hire a singular individual. I would hire someone who also understands distribution, because that video is not worth anything. No matter what you paid for it, it's worth zero if there's no distribution to help that video do and get results. If they are not pushing distribution, they're not pushing anything. And a good video producer will understand the content that they create is made for a medium that is where you want that distribution outline to be. So if it is TV and web, you got to think about both. How's it going to look on the web? How's it going to look on TV? And an example I'll give for that recently is drone footage was super popular for a long time, right? And drone footage is cool. Everybody likes to see the tops of buildings and these high angles we've never seen before. It looks really great in movies and it looks really great on TV. But I'd argue that sometimes drone footage is really hard to interpret what you're seeing when it's on a cell phone, right? That little black mirror we all carry around, we're watching an image like this big, like this small little image. So one of the things that we started looking at was experimenting with, and this is an example, of using a probe lens. It's the opposite of a drone, where everything's up high. This lets us get so close to certain things. Like we just filmed some sushi. You're literally seeing the layers of fat on a piece of tuna like you've never seen before. Like you can see. So now if I'm trying to sell you this awesome place to go eat sushi, you're seeing the sushi that looks larger than life. I mean, it looks like it's this big. It looks massive. Or if I'm showing you a soda can opening, there's a piece of that we threw out there somewhere. It's so close to the lip of the soda can. It's a perspective you don't see. So it at least engages your eye. It's drawing you in, because those were all videos we knew weren't necessarily going for TV. They were going for the internet. So we're thinking about how it's just going to do the best we can on the internet. That's the relationship you want to have. It's someone who's thinking about distribution when they have the conversation with you, and they listen to what you have to say to help create that best product. Does that make sense?
That's good, man. Now that makes total sense, especially if you, I guess every small business is going to be different. Maybe you have your distribution, you know exactly what you're going to do with it once you get it. And I guess that's a different story, but you're right. I guess that's a great point. What good is a video that's produced if you don't have a plan to put it out in the proper channels and have it get results for you?
And look at ROI. I mean, you just got to look at the ROI. If you just put out a video and like, hey, I just want a brand anthem, which those are great. They're very important. Brand anthems often don't generate as much ROI, in my opinion, as say a call to action ad, where if you're selling a brand anthem for BizCon, let's just free advice. You're doing a BizCon thing, you do a cool montage. That's great. Right? Really pretty shots. Doesn't matter how gorgeous. It makes me feel cool about, man, these guys really know what they're talking about. But if you're trying to get me to sign up, that's not going to be as effective as if you're like, at BizCon last year, 30 members that came to BizCon went on and their businesses have now grossed over $40 million.
Right.
That's why you should come to BizCon. Well, now all of a sudden you got my interest. Now I'm interested in why I want to be there. You're solving a problem for me. So you kind of want to think of it in terms of, that's what I mean by distribution as well, is how you're going to go about presenting this content the most effective method possible.
That's good, man. All right, did I get you off the path of website, make sure you set up YouTube channel, like the default?
No, that was it. It's basically just make sure, have all your social, but YouTube was the number one that I would do. And I found my cell phone. Creating any kind of content, even if it's selfie mode type stuff like this, create content. If just have those introductions. And the tip was, tell your story, tell your brand story. And it should be about 3 minutes. You should be able to tell your entire brand story in 3 minutes. If it's more than 3 minutes or drastically under, see if there's something you're leaving out, or is there too much in it? It needs to be streamlined, and that's just a conversation. It's not an elevator pitch. It's just a really real conversation you have with
100%.
somebody.
100%. I like it. So, yeah, you said tell the story in 3 minutes or less. So, you just made me think. People are now doing this in under 60 seconds and 15 seconds on a platform called TikTok. And I was going to
Oh
ask
yeah,
you. I'm just going to ask you just in general if you have any opinion on TikTok or what your thoughts are there on that. If you
I
have
think
one.
it's fantastic. I just feel I got on it once, and I felt like the oldest guy in the room, so I wasn't there very long.
I'm with you, and that happened to me as well. You won't anymore. I'm telling you that now, as of today, as of the recording.
Yeah,
It's interesting what's going on that platform. Somehow they I don't know over what time frame they've done this, but they've
yeah,
gotten obviously some influencers, and the influencers have gotten all the famous people. So everyone's on there. I'm not gonna say everyone. I shouldn't say that. I mean, you hop on now, and you are gonna see the 40 and 50-year-olds. You are gonna see Arnold Schwarzenegger and Kevin Hart and Ludacris and just ran all these people. I'm like, what are these people doing? And it's interesting what's happening. I'm very curious to see what happens, Sid, over the next 6 to 12 months as a
oh
as a
yeah, for
platform.
sure, for sure.
So, anyways, that's kind of a side note there. But so, what? Any other specific thoughts on your mind today for this conversation?
Yeah, I kind of wanted to talk about the only other thing I wanted to mention is something I picked up. I got very fortunate to go to this some kind of exclusive. I don't know. I don't remember the guy's name. One of my partners brought me out for it, but I went to this meeting, and in the meeting they had this really famous guy. He's Kim. He's one of the Kardashians. He's basically who manages their social media, right? And so
Oh wow,
yeah, and so it was a very private setting and very like he's just dumping information. And so as this Jordan Belfort's the other guy he launched, who's the Wolf of Wall Street, like completely made that guy's social media. The other kid that's the blonde-haired guy that got Jake Paul or somebody, he launched
okay,
it. So
yeah,
he's talking about really high-level influencers in social media, and he
yep,
talked about how it works. And I just was going to share it as a free sort of thing. And I'll use Apple as a prime example of this. This is the sort of pyramid that he used as well. So if you think about Apple, I'm a Google guy, but you have Apple, you have the iPhone, you have the laptops, their computers, you have their products, right? That's sitting up here in the top of this triangle.
right,
And then from that, the Apple brand, if you will, has products. And then imagine it kind of like a triangle arm coming down. Then you have the business. And there's a lot of people that are fascinated with the business of Apple because they're the second most profitable, not just the most profitable business, but they're like the second most profitable entity in the world. I think it's Saudi oil and then Apple or something like that, right? So
gotcha.
you have this massive piece. And then as the triangle cuts back over, you then have a sort of personal element to that brand. So who would you say is the face of Apple? When you think about a face of Apple, who do you think about with Apple?
Still think Steve Jobs.
Absolutely, Steve Jobs, right? So Steve
Yep.
Jobs had a brand. He showed up with those little wire rim glasses. He always had the black turtleneck. So if we start thinking about Apple or any business, but using them as an example, so you have Apple in the center, and we have this triangle forming, right? So you have their products that help sell their brand and help tell their brand story. You have their business practices, their ethos, their truth that helps sell their brand story. Then you have the personal side, and this is something I think a lot of people leave out, which is your personal brand. You are very good, right, Brooks? You're very good at personal brand in addition to your other brands, right? You're out here having a conversation. This actually works multiple levels. It's your Brooks brand. It's also your business brand, right? It's pushing it. Same when I do live content. I'm pushing my personal brand as much as I am my business brand because they're affiliated.
Yep.
And I think one of the things about video that helps us do that is establish the personal brand, which in turn helps sell products, which helps people believe in your business. And it creates an ecosystem that pretty soon the cash flow is just flowing through like this. And that's the biggest takeaway. That's what this guy has done for all those major people. If you look at it, the Kardashians have a fantastic personal brand who now sells products, and she is an extremely profitable business that people want to get behind, right?
That's good, man. Yep.
It's so simple. It's
I'm
just a
tracking
triangle. So take your business and bash it out. Like, what is your product or service? What is your business? What does it stand for? What's your truth? What's your ethics? What's your personal brand say? How can you increase your personal brand? How can you, the business owner or employee, help the personal brand? And it will start feeding into itself. I would just encourage everybody with that.
That's good, man. That's huge. That is huge.
Well,
But
that's
Drew,
the freebies.
do what now?
I said that's the good freebies, right? You want
That's
good
the good
freebies.
freebies. Yeah, no, that's huge, man. Well, okay, well then let's wrap up. If folks want to just reach out to you, find out more about you and your company, how do they do that? What's the best way for them to do it?
Yeah. So if you follow at Craft Show anywhere, whether it's Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, any social media, YouTube, all of that is at Craft Show. If you want to email me, it's just drew@craftshow.com, which is spelled funky, CRFTSHO. If you want to do that, just hit me up. I'm available to chat at any time about anything. Love to talk, love to share information. Probably give away more than I probably should, but who cares? That's life.
Value, man.
That's right.
Value brings more value. So, man, we appreciate it. Thanks for being on, man, and we'll connect more soon.
Sounds great.
All right, see ya. Guys, thanks for tuning in. That was Drew with Craft Show. Excited to have him on. Had to get some favors in to get him on here, so go and check him out online. And for us, keep in touch. If you want to know more when the next interviews and information's coming out, make sure you're following us at Gulf Coast BizCon. You can hop on our website, gulfcoastbizcon.com, or online. Find us there, and we will see you next time.